Welcome to Q&A at CYC. It's very lovely to be here with you tonight to talk about a very important topic, a very simple question that can save lives. And as this is a live show, please text or call if you have any questions at all. We'd love to hear from you on phone number 0416 551 292. And we have a wonderful panel here with us tonight, starting with our beloved Buna Shnuti. How are you, Buna?
Good, thank you, Tess. Welcome.
Thank you. Fadi. How are you, Fadi?
Fine, thank you.
Andrew.
Hi, Tess.
And of course, Kiro.
Hi, Tess.
So before we go any further with the panel, we're going to move across to a live video on a very important matter that touches so many of our lives. So please tune in.
There's something we need to talk about. It's happening in Australia and will impact many of us. Suicide. An average of 8 people die by suicide every day in Australia alone. For every death, it's estimated 30 people will attempt to take their life. And 89% of people report knowing someone who has attempted it. So why is this happening? Research shows that when these 3 factors combine, it increases someone's risk of suicide. 1. Feeling isolated or disconnected from others. 2. The belief that they are a burden on others or society. And 3. Having the means to take their life. Are You OK is working to ensure everyone feels connected and is protected from suicide. We focus on reducing feelings of isolation and disconnection. But how do we do this? We all experience life's ups and downs and things like grief, relationship breakdown, financial difficulty, or losing a job. These moments can really challenge us, and sadly, many people feel they don't have anyone to confide in, but there is something that can help. You. Are You OK's impact is helping you make a difference to the people who are struggling with life. We do this by encouraging you to invest more time in the people around you, because when our relationships are strong, we're more likely to see those signs that someone's struggling. And when you see those signs, notice changes, or just feel that something's not quite right with your friend, colleague, loved one, teammate or neighbour, we want you to trust that gut instinct. Reach out to them and ask, "Are you okay?" You don't have to wait until they're in crisis. The earlier you reach out, the better the result. We know it can sometimes feel uncomfortable, especially if the person answers, "No, I'm not okay." And that's okay. But you can make a difference if you follow Are You OK's 4 conversation steps. 1. Ask, "Are you okay?" 2. Listen. 3. Encourage action. And 4. Check in. By making time to look out for those around you, you can help people feel connected and help them access appropriate support long before they think about suicide. If we all meaningfully connect with those who may be struggling with life, we can increase people's sense of belonging and create a world where we're all connected and are protected from suicide. Ask, "Are you okay?" and start a conversation that could change a life.
Fadi, our first question for the evening for you. Before we talk about this program, can you please give us a little bit of background about how the Are You OK idea came about and the foundation, please?
The story started in 1995 when Barry Larkin was far from okay. Unfortunately, he committed suicide, leaving his family and friends in deep grief and endless questions. In 2009, his son, Gavin Larkin, wanted to honor his memory by honor and champion just one question: "Are you okay?" Trying to help and protect other families from the pain he endured. And this is how the foundation started. And since, they've been helping thousands around the country every year.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful that it's helping so many people. That very difficult situation. So can you tell us a bit about some of the statistics around mental health and the challenges, please?
The statistic actually horrific. It's been posted this year by Fair Work Australia, and it's showing 2 million around Australia live with anxiety and 1 million live with depression. Every day, nearly 8 Australians take their own lives. 8 of them are men. For the mental health issue at work, there is some occupation at higher risk more than others. The highest one are the people working in force, the police force and the defense force, and the firefighters. followed by teachers. And the last one, which is considered the lowest one, 13%, it is the people working at the support welfare and the health. It's actually horrific.
Yes, and I know just on the weekend I read a newspaper article that there's so much focus on the mental health now, and they're saying in Australia we spend about $1 million every hour, and even probably higher than that, and I think about 90 billion a year. So it's a huge amount, affecting so many lives, which is quite sad. Can you please share with us about the Are You OK program and talk a bit about how we can apply this?
Are You OK is very important to our community and our lifestyle because, to be honest, everyone is struggling in his own way and everyone have his own struggle. Some people are better at hiding it, some are better at deal with it, some are not. So I prefer to ask whatever around me, are you okay? Because maybe he have depression and you can't tell. Maybe he have problems at home and you can't tell. That's why it's very important. The only issue is sometimes people say, it's none of my business, why should I ask? I have my own problems. But actually when you try to help someone and ask him if he's okay or not, by trying to helping him, you're doing good to yourself. By helping him, doing good to him and doing good to yourself. So the presentation we're going to see now, it will show you the 4 main steps we should follow and implement in order to ask someone, are you okay?
Wonderful.
So the first thing is the ask. So there is a lot of problems we face in daily life. It can be financial problems, can be relationship problems, illness, exams, stress at work. So the first thing you should do is ask, are you okay? So the next slide we're going to see now, it's many forms of how we should ask. So like you can say, you don't seem to be your old self. What's going on? You can say another one, I don't see much of you these days. Where you been? Is everything is okay? Second step is listen. And the most important thing is listen without judgment. So you can say something simply, so what's going on with you? Is everything is okay? Please, please, do not say, I know what you've been through, what you're going through. Do not say, look to the bright side. Simply because if someone have a problem, he shifts all his focus into this problem. He's not going to look to the silver lining at the end of the tunnel. He's just focusing onto this problem. So just do say this. You can say, I'm here for you. How can I help? You're not alone. So this is all the things you can say. The next and the third step is encourage action. So you can say something like this. Did you see someone? Is there anyone? Did you talk to about this to anyone? What would help you to manage this load? What we can do to solve this situation or solve this problem? What we can change to make your life easier? Sometimes we will be facing with denial. Some people will say, I'm okay, I'm fine. There is nothing wrong with me. They dealing with denial. So don't force yourself. Just tell them, I'm here for you whenever you need me. If you want to talk anytime, I'm here. So the last step is check-in or follow-up. So you can say something, when I'm gonna see you next, let's catch up soon to see how it's going. These 3 words can change someone's life, can make a difference. So don't be shy to ask, because you may end up actually saving someone's life.
Yeah. And Fadi, is that something that it should only really be done in person? What about if you have a friend that calls you and you can sense in their voice that maybe there's something not okay?
Like I said before, even if you don't sense he's okay or not, you can ask. Just ask. Because if he's hiding something, you're probably not going to feel it. If you actually feel it, you should start and encourage him to talk. If he stay in a state of denial or he doesn't want to talk to you, you can ask him, talk to your family, talk to someone you trust. So it's very simple. Just encourage him to talk to someone.
Yes, and I did see also on the Are You OK website, they have some really lovely videos where people who've been through that have actually talked about. And sometimes there was one gentleman who was asked maybe 20 times by his boss, who's now a really lovely friend of his. And he said, at first I just kept saying, no, I'm fine. And then one day he said he felt comfortable enough to actually say something.
You're right.
So, yeah, I guess there's, even if you get the no, I'm okay once, it doesn't mean that we can have to stop caring. We can still...
It depends on the time you're asking. Like 2 days ago, one of my managers came to me, and I was busy, very busy, trying to solving a problem, and it's time sensitive, so I didn't even look. I was staring at my computer screen. I didn't look at him, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Not actually, not really." And he just say, "Okay," and he left because he can see I'm focusing to solve this problem. Half an hour later, he came back and he said with me, "What's wrong? What's happening?"
That's
And I
lovely.
explained to him the issue and why I couldn't talk to him, why I was very busy. So don't try to push. Just pick the right time and start asking.
So timing is very important in these instances, and even I guess addressing it. If you were in the workplace, for instance, so what your friend did was just perfect because he gave you the space to do what you need to do, but he still followed up later. So I suppose that's the last point we were saying on the video was about follow up. So no, that's really, really wonderful. And is there any situation or any time where we need to be careful? Because I guess some of the things that, and even I've worried about when I've asked a question, is that you might offend somebody. Should we be worried about that when we ask the question, "Are you okay?"
You're just asking in general way. You don't interfere to his private life. You're just asking in general, is everything is okay? And make him talk. Don't ask him, what's happening with your marriage? What's happening with your work? What's happening in your home? Just ask in general, is everything is okay with you? You seem too sad. What's wrong? How can I help you? Just be open to him. Just listen. Make him talk and listen to him. Don't judge. Don't try to fix him.
Yeah.
There is a step after, so he can talk to someone professional. Just your part here is just to talk to him and listen.
And what about their part? Because I once had an Abuna say to me, it's very important to listen. Because when someone's in that state of mind and they're upset or anxious about something, it's like being a bird being caught in a room and you're just flying around and flying around and flying around and there's no way out. But when that door opens and you're released, there's freedom. So that dialogue, and in fact I had a really wonderful friend of mine call me this afternoon. She was saying the very same thing. That dialogue, the ability to actually speak to someone it's just such a releasing thing. So, apart from the asking, I guess the listening then is so key. And a lot of time being humans, we like to fix problems very quickly.
This is a problem, yeah. Just listen, don't interfere, let him vent, say whatever he want to say.
Yep. And does it change when there are different age groups? Does the approach change at all? Actually,
it's not the same steps, the same 4 steps. It will fit any age group, but the way you're asking, you're not going to ask your 10 years old daughter, "Hey, are you okay?" You're gonna call her by her nickname. "Hey, Munchkin, hey, Jelly Bean, how you been? How is school? Are you okay? Is everything okay with your friends?" It's just the way you're asking, but the same steps. Like start with asking, listen, encourage action, and follow up.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Fadi.
Thank you, Tess.
So Andrew, Are You Okay program runs in your workplace. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works and what's actually done when they do run this program?
Yeah, we've got it at our workplace. We've had it for quite a few years now, probably about close to 8 years. When it first started, they started off by having a barbecue in the area. Not all my colleagues have our meal breaks at the same time. It's a fairly large workforce.
Yeah.
So they have a barbecue there and they had the brochures out, the posters around, and the management will come and speak a little bit about the Are You OK and how the system works, and direct us to the website as well to have a look at the videos. And they also had a monitor up in the screen there and had some videos showing of some of the people that have put it all together, and yeah, it was explained really well.
Excellent. So lots of different ways to communicate, what we should do and the steps and the whole concept to keep it in the forefront of people's mind. So I imagine in your daily life you encounter a lot of people of the public, not just work colleagues. Can you tell us a little bit about how it's felt, if you've been able to use that in your role or in the public?
Yeah, I have. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity in the public life, dealing with probably anywhere between 500 to 1,000 people a day coming on and off the bus there. And there has been a few times where you see people, they're looking a bit down. So I just sort of like acknowledge them and just say hello and how you're going. And some of them look up with a big smiling face and think, oh, someone's actually said hello to me. It's happened one time with a homeless person. He was quite in shock that I actually said, "Good morning, how are you going?" And over time, he's got on the bus quite a few times, and I can see over the time that his interaction with me, he's actually now getting on the bus and he's actually saying good morning to me as well, and really appreciating it. And actually, when he gets off the bus now, he says thank you very much. And one day he actually gave me an orange. Now this is a homeless guy that appreciates the contact with someone. Like, I'm not sure what happens when I'm not there or whatever, but I get the feeling that he doesn't have that much interaction with people because he's not dressed nicely. He's fairly dirty. But I like to treat people, every person, the same with respect. And I'd like to know that if I was down and out, and if I was not dressed nicely, that people would have the same respect for me. There is another occasion at work where one of my colleagues was very upset on a certain day with some information that he received over the telephone. When he ended the call, he got off the call and made a comment that really pricked my ears up. He said, I wish I was dead, I want to commit suicide. And that really got my ears standing up, and I thought, wow, you know, that's not good. So I went over to him and said, you know, let's go for a walk. Chose the time, got him away from everyone else because there was quite a few people there. And he opened up to me. I just asked him the question, you know, are you serious? Like, are you okay? What's happening? And he just told me that the situation was, you know, he spent a lot of money on doing exams and wasn't able to pass, so he had to pay money again to do more exams. And, you know, the stresses of financially, the financial stress of life and other things that were going on. But he assured me that he was okay. He just said that out of the spur of the moment. But I felt that that was an appropriate time to go and ask because, you know, it was blatantly obvious that who knows what could have happened. But now we've got a very good relationship, and whenever he's doing his exams again, he's always coming to me, I'm doing another exam now.
It's
Please
wonderful.
pray for me. And so, you know, hopefully with God's grace, he'll pass his exams.
And I think it's a very important point because really they're Christian fundamentals about caring about people, about asking people. And I think, Abuna, you were saying the other day about a smile, how important just a simple smile is.
Sometimes that's what people just need, a smile.
Yes.
You don't have to talk. Just give them a smile, and that will make their day.
Is that what we call the silent preaching?
Yeah, it is. A lot of people, as Fadi and Andrew was saying, a lot of people actually just need that personal interaction. They need to feel accepted, especially like homeless men. Probably no one wants to associate with someone like that. The fact that for him they gave you an orange, that in itself tells you a lot.
That made me feel like just unbelievable. The feeling that I got when he gave me the orange, I thought, now I want to go and just find him again and just give, you know, like, And
I suppose it comes back to what Fadi was saying, is that you're not just doing something for somebody else, you're actually doing something for yourself. And that joy and that love, it's serving. It's really, you know, love in action and service in action. I imagine, Kira, you see a lot of that in your day-to-day work as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Excellent. So in your experiences, what, and I'll open this to everybody, some signs, maybe we can all go around and just give a sign of maybe something to look for when we feel we should be prompted to ask, are you okay?
Well, the example that I gave, that sign was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But there are other signs, obviously, you look for. The main thing is get to know the people that you're around with all the time, get to know their demeanour, get to know their personality, be friendly with them, and get them. Try to be friends with them, and they'll be friendly with you, and then you'll know on the occasions when they're not feeling fine. You know, if you're saying good morning to someone every day, and they're saying, "Oh, good morning, how are you?" back every day, and then on the odd occasion we say good morning, and then they say nothing, or you'll know. You'll sort of know there's something going on.
Yes.
And I think it works both ways too, because if we're all on the same program, my friends at work are on the Are You OK as well. If I'm there every day saying hi, good morning, how are you going? And then on the odd day where I go in and I'm not feeling very well, or I'm feeling a bit down and stressed about things, and I don't say good morning to them, they're going to then say, are you okay, to me? So it sort of, this works both ways.
You're building that environment, you're encouraging that sort of behaviour and way of thinking.
Yeah.
Recognizing the signs actually become easier if you know that person closely, as you said. If it's someone that you know that you don't know that well, it will be very hard to detect.
It's very hard to detect, and seeing people in the public every day, I do try to acknowledge them when I see them eye to eye and say good morning or good afternoon, how are you going? And most people will acknowledge you back, and mostly with a big smile on their face because they're surprised that you've actually said something to them. But then others will not do anything. They won't even blink an eye and they'll just walk on and sit down. So you think either they didn't hear me or they're really stressing about something else or they're really concentrating or thinking of something else.
Yes.
Not everyone wants to talk.
No,
Yes.
that's right.
That's another problem, is not everyone actually wants to talk. People want to be left alone.
Yeah.
And I think just common courtesy, that used to be such a big thing. Manners, asking about, a certain way when you approach someone, how are you, smiling. And I think because we're in an iPhone generation, we're so used to doing that all over the iPhone and the selfies and so forth, but we forget that in general, face-to-face meetings with people. It's such a beautiful thing. As you said, just a smile and yeah. And I guess then one other thing is, and what I've heard from other people is that it's okay to ask the question, are you okay? But what about having the braveness, the desire to even go the next step, which is actually hear the person out? Because we could say we have enough of our own problems, life is difficult as it is. Yeah, we want to know that they're okay, but we don't want to have to deal with all the baggage and everything that comes around.
Or what happens if they say, no, I'm not okay?
That's right.
Am I ready to actually go to the next step?
Yeah.
Am I equipped enough to go next step?
Yeah, that's very true because, from what I hear, can actually cause a lot more damage if you don't do that the right way.
Yeah. Well, we need to be ready ourselves. We need to make sure that if we do see someone that may need to be asked a question before we start the conversation, we need to make sure that we're ready ourselves. Are we in the right headspace? And are we allowing ourselves enough time after we ask them the question to actually sit and seriously listen to them and to be with them and to support them? Whereas if I've only got a couple of minutes before I've got to go somewhere, I'm not going to ask someone that looks like they might need to be asked, are you okay? I'm going to possibly maybe see if I can find somebody else that's got time, or make it a point to ask them later. But if I know I haven't got time, I'll just say, g'day, how you going, how's things? Like, not the are you okay point.
We can at least sort of start a very gentle dialogue. And then I guess, even if you are off somewhere, we can say, well, we can catch up a little bit later, or, I'll give you a call a bit later, just so you start the conversation, which I think is a big part of the whole program, Fanny, is like, start the conversation, not just leaving it. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, and as Fanny said as well, it depends from one situation to another. You can't sort of say a standard question in the same tone to everyone regardless. It's on a case-by-case basis.
Yes. Yeah.
And it needs wisdom as well, when to say it, how to say it, when to push, when not to push. There's a lot of variables at stake here, so...
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go to an ad break, so please stay tuned and don't forget to send in your calls or text messages with your questions.
We need to study the book of Acts to see how we can regain the passion of the early days. It's not, a dream, it's not a theory, it's a real fact. Christ is waiting for the church to move on. But also, God is wise. So God knows how to speak to all hearts.
We're going to enter the Divine Liturgy. The Liturgy of the Word or the Liturgy of the Catechumen. The importance of preparation and sanctification. Start with the prayer of reconciliation.
The things of Christianity are very important. The relics of the saints. Why do we have relics of saints? Why the bones of the saints are important? Holiness is a power which can enter into material objects. Monks show a holy relation to nature. St. Anthony himself said, when he was asked, Father, why you have no book? How do you learn? How do you study? How do you read? This is my book. This play is to show me that the spirit is like an eagle.
When we speak about we are scriptural church, it doesn't mean that we are worshipping a text. We understand the text within the church. In fact, in any passage, you care to choose singing of Christ. When we read a real Orthodox teaching, it's showing us everything. The law of prayer is the law of belief, is the law of life. We can receive the power of His resurrection at any time. We celebrate the feast, we enjoy a great power of resurrection at that time. Like, it doesn't mean the power of resurrection is kept on that day and other days of the year are not there. It's always there.
So there's a male dominance in the Catholic Church in regards to physician.
We have a lot of similarities with the Catholic Church. We do not worship them.
Would you say that's true or false? How does one physically, mentally, emotionally fall in love with active prayer?
The intercession of the saints is a very big part of our theology and our practice.
Yes, I'm religious, but no, I'm not a freak.
People tend to become atheists not because of their philosophical beliefs, but because of their personal conviction of sin.
If you have any questions, as usual, please email us sg101@cycnow.com, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
CYC, Christian Youth Channel.
Welcome back, viewers. So now we're going to go straight to Kiro, because he has a very interesting job being a professional counsellor. So Kiro, tell us about maybe when a person will get into a situation of feeling in despair and loss, that they could really use some help with, someone asking, are you okay, or just general help and support.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of this stuff, especially suicide in respects to are you okay, is linked to mental health conditions like depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And there's a number of factors that can cause or lead a person to feel this way. And a few of the common ones would be life events. So if things happen to a person, unemployment, a breakdown of a relationship, a death in the family, things like that. You know, and multiple things. So usually it's multiple factors or different things that happen that come together that leads a person to feel this way. Other things are like personal factors. You know, if in their family, in family history, if people in the family tend to suffer from depression or mental health concerns, it's not a guarantee that everyone in the family will have it, but I guess it increases the risk somewhat. What else? Drug and alcohol abuse can definitely contribute. Medical illness, so if someone has a medical illness with chronic pain or they're hospitalised or something happens that impacts their quality of life, all these things, or you know, these things put together, and if they continue to happen to a person sort of continually or one after the other, can definitely contribute to feeling like this. There's also, I guess from a medical perspective, which I'm not qualified to talk about, but changes in the brain, things like, you know, chemical imbalances and stuff like that, certain changes in the brain that can definitely contribute as well.
Fair enough. So Kira, when should someone seek help? So I guess we're talking it from a person going through that. When should they seek help, and who can they maybe try to find help from?
When to seek professional help is key, definitely. I think person needs to either have some self-awareness for themselves, or if they've got loved ones or friends or close people to them that can identify it for them. I guess if they have prolonged feelings of hopelessness or despair, or they're unhappy unusually, so they're usually okay, but they're going through a period where they're not for an extended period of time. I think the indication is about 2 weeks consistently or more, that they should probably focus, on seeing someone or getting some help. If it's impacting their functioning, so if it's impacting their ability to maintain relationships, to go to work, to get out of bed, to function, that kind of stuff. So yeah, when it's identified as an issue and it's having an impact on the person in other areas of their life or all areas of their life, it's probably an indicator that they should probably seek some more professional sort of help.
Fair enough. And in terms of loved ones or people that care for them, should they just look out for the same sort of like time frames or 2 weeks, or how does that work? Because we've sort of talked about it from a perspective of the person going through it, but from a loved one, how can they approach that?
So again, I think it's like we said before, if you know the person, you have a relationship with them, you're friends with them, you know them and you know them well, you're more likely to pick up if something's wrong. So definitely if you see a change in someone that you know well, a family member, friend, a colleague, where they're usually a certain way and they're not lately, if they're usually outgoing, they're a bit more withdrawn, or if they're talkative and happy and loud and they're a bit quieter. So if you see a change, and if you see a change over a period of time or a few days or a week or two, probably timing-wise, it's probably a good time to check in with them and ask them if they're okay. And hopefully you've got that relationship with them where they are inclined to talk to you and to sort of be a bit transparent with you, and you can support them that way.
Very good. So Kiro, I'd like to ask you the 5 do's and don'ts about dealing with people who will be going through a difficult time.
Yep, do's and don'ts. And it's good, I guess, we covered it a bit in the slides. Probably the biggest do is to listen without judgment. So I guess this process of therapy, or as a counsellor, the function of listening itself is very therapeutic. So if someone has the ability to just sit there, vent, open up, be a bit vulnerable, get things off their chest, and they know that they're being listened to, they're being supported, they're being believed, that's very, very therapeutic and has a positive impact on its own.
Yes.
Yeah? So
I heard somewhere that I think the big statistics and the biggest percentage actually people will just be feeling relieved is just by listening without even giving anything. That itself is a big percentage of the remedy.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that
spot on, 100%. And that's probably the biggest do is listen. Like probably don't talk as much and listen a lot more in these situations. Show empathy rather than, I guess, sympathy. So, while it's well-intentioned, obviously, and you feel sorry for the person, but try to understand or think if you were in their position, how that would make you feel. So try and show some empathy. Be supportive. And with the support, I guess it's important to be guided by them. So at their pace, what they're comfortable with, they're the expert because that's what they're feeling, they're going through. So definitely be supportive and how you can help them, but be guided by them, not according to what you think they need.
So trying to put on what you think would support them, it wouldn't be a good idea because then it's just adding more pressure to what they're already going through.
Definitely. Yeah. Or it may not be what they need, or it may be they're not comfortable with that. So definitely be guided by them. Some other do's, I guess, be available as much as you can. Look, and I guess just acknowledging that being in that position is not easy. If you're having to be a support to someone where they are depressed or they're disclosing all this stuff, and you're not necessarily trained or you haven't experienced it before, difficult position to be in, can be very emotionally taxing on you and requires a lot from you. So that is the case. But as much as you can and within your capacity, to be available for that person. And to allow them to sort of talk and vent when they need to.
Yeah. So.
Some don'ts.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest one with this is don't tell the person to get over it, or don't try and sort of put some sense into them or give them a reality check. Don't tell them to get over it. Don't minimise it. Again, sometimes well-intentioned where people minimise it, so they try and sort of show the person that what they're going through is not that bad. They compare it to someone else in a worse situation.
We always do that. I think we always do that.
Yep, we do.
And we think we're doing them a favour, but actually...
That's right, and that's our way of trying to help and to solve, and it's well-intentioned, but it's not effective or not obviously what the person wants to hear. Don't try and give them the answers. If you think you know why they're feeling this way, don't tell them, oh, it's because you haven't gotten out of the house or you just need, you know, a holiday, or, you know, don't try and give them the answers. Don't give them the reasons why they're feeling this way. Probably don't disappear as well. So if someone's comfortable enough with you where they've spoken to you, they've, you know, they've made themselves a bit vulnerable and they've opened up to you, probably don't disappear after that conversation where you know, so similar to the presentation, check in with them, be available.
So what do you think about that, Abuna?
I think as a priest, I think my job will be easier than all of you guys. Because that's my job. My part of my service to be available for everyone.
Yes.
And many people will come open up to me. But I think it will be harder for someone to do that on a regular basis, as Kira was saying, to be practical. I think they may need to have more than one person who's actually sort of looking after them.
Yes.
I think it will be so much draining on just one person taking care of that situation.
Yes.
And you'll in turn be affected by it. So I think if we can sort of share the load, if there's more than one person involved, I don't know, what do you think, Kira?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's where you can, in your support to them, you can encourage them to see somebody. So if it is something a bit out of your control or out of your depth, or you think it's, you know, a lot more serious than just sitting down and having a yarn with someone, that's where you can encourage them to see someone, or what they think about seeing someone. Have they considered it? You know, and again, like, it's very common, there's no shame in it, and you know, we all need help, and just try and encourage them at their pace, but try and encourage them to sort of get the right help for them, whatever that is.
And so is it helpful to try and bring, I guess, other friends or people that they may know in to help them? Again, I guess we just sort of, if we do that, we're taking it on ourselves, say this is what we think we could need. But one of the comments of a friend of mine is just that she had reached out to several different people, but everyone was just so busy with life, they were unavailable. So is that a good connection to try and, you know, bring them into other groups, or bring them around with other friends, or get in contact with their friends, say, hey, just check in because I can't today, as Andrew was saying earlier on.
Yeah. Again, I think at their pace and with what they're comfortable with, so not to do, again, what we think they need other people, they need whatever, but if that's something that, you know, they're okay with, they're comfortable with, or, you know, I'll come out with you and your friends, or, you know, I've already told, you know, this person this, so yeah, you can talk to them about it, they already know. So definitely if they're on board and that would help them and they're keen, 100% bring people on. I think as well, there's benefit in being honest.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what to say, or you feel they're looking, you know, you for an answer or something, and you don't have it, I think being honest, look, I appreciate you telling me. I think it's, you know, great that you trust me enough to open up to me. I've never come across this before. I'm here for you and I'll support you. And maybe that's where, you know, can we maybe see someone else that may be in a better position to help you, you know, things like that. So just call it. Don't pretend that, you know, you can do something or give them something that you can't. And I'm hoping they'll appreciate the honesty.
Very good.
But I think, that's my opinion, you can correct me, Kira, will it be good if someone actually, say someone comes talks to me, and then I know that you're going through a difficult time, then I'll tell Tess, can you please ask about Kira, just give him a call and see how he's going. So he will be receiving a number of calls from different people. I think that will help, wouldn't it?
Yep. I guess it's done in a way where it's not unusual. So if you guys are a group of friends and you know something's happening with a particular person, and then, you know, you're not disclosing anything, you're not reaching any trust or anything, not telling anyone anything, but definitely, hey, you know, check in with this person, you know, see if we can all get together one night. And then when they get the phone call from that friend, it's not unusual, it's not bizarre, it's, you know, it's not like something's been shared that shouldn't have. It's in the normal realm of the friendship, definitely. And more people checking in, more people hanging out, and it's a group of friends, 100%.
So that's the last point that Fadi was talking about, check-in.
Check-in, follow-up.
Yes, absolutely. So Buddha, we might ask you a question now, if that's okay.
Of course.
So one of the things that we have come across, and I've heard, I guess in our Coptic community as well, as we talk about, the misconception of, if you're going through anxiety, going through a difficult time, or suffering depression, that it's related to your spiritual path, or you don't have enough faith, or you're not praying hard enough. Can you talk to us about that, Abuna, and what the Bible says about that as well?
It's a very important point, because a lot of people actually make a direct link or connection between your mental health and your spiritual level or faith level. And this is, as you said, it's a big misconception, because obviously it doesn't mean that if you're going through a difficult time, you will feel anxious or going through depression. It does not mean that you're away from God. It does not mean that you lack faith. It does not mean that you're not a good person. And a lot of people come to me, talk to me, saying during confessions or guidance, they're going through a difficult time, but at the same time, they're feeling extra guilty because they think, how can I be a Christian and going through depression? How can I be a Christian and feeling sad?
Yeah.
If I really have true faith, I shouldn't be feeling that way. So they actually have extra guilt on top of the normal problems is because of that link, because they're making that link. Because there's always a stereotype associated with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, people don't want to talk about their mental state.
Yes.
And it's something like people keep away from, because they're afraid of people labeling them, being labeled, and there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is a big misconception, and we can see that if we look at the Bible, there's many stories in the Bible about personalities, people who are very, very famous and very known, well known to be courageous and very strong.
Yeah.
And they went through difficult times, and they went through periods of depression, even suicidal thoughts at some extent. We can say many examples from the Bible. We look at Elijah, for example, Prophet Elijah.
Yeah.
He was known as a very courageous, very strong man.
Yes.
And we can see that all of a sudden he got scared from Jezebel, and then he ran away from her.
Yes.
He was hiding in a cave, and he was fearful for his life. And he told God, God, take my life now. I'm not better than my fathers. So he had very low self-esteem. He felt inferior.
Yes.
And he got scared from that, and he fled. The strange thing about that is if you read chapter before that, so we're talking, if people want to read it, you'll find that story very interesting in the book of Kings, 1 Kings, chapter 19.
Yep.
But if you look back to chapter 18, you'll see something very strange. You'll see that at one chapter before, even a few verses before, Elijah did a wonderful miracle. He prayed, and fire came from heaven and accepted the sacrifice, and God accepted the Lord as their God, and they killed the prophets of the Baal, the idols. It was a great victory for him. Just a few verses before.
So you would think that victory would...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Carry him through. So can I just ask you the Bible verse, Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 to 7, where it says, do not be anxious about anything. And it continues. So
yes,
it's almost, one would easily think that, if I'm a good Christian, I should not be anxious. And Christ is supporting us, the Holy Spirit's with us. But sometimes, I find that our body just takes over when we're in a stressful situation, or, as Vadi was saying before, we keep thinking about the same things. We fall into this frame. So can you please talk about that a bit, Abuna?
To put it in context, can we actually, I'll read that part. It's a couple of verses that Tess was talking about. But I want to read a number of verses to put it in context so we know the whole picture. This is actually from the Epistle of Philippians, St. Paul to Philippians chapter 4. And this is what it says. It says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. So this is what we're talking about. Are you okay? Starting with rejoice. Okay, and it says, let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand. So the Lord is near. This is a beautiful verse because it's actually dealing with the different steps that we need to do to actually overcome this. It goes on, the beautiful part says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God will surpass all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ. And it goes on. So this is a beautiful verse because it tells us that God wants us to rejoice. It's actually, the way it's written is, it's like a commandment. Rejoice in the Lord. Always rejoice. Okay? And this is a beautiful thing. But the question is, how can we apply this practically? It's easier said than done.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone wants to be happy. But obviously, because of the stress of the world and the pressures that we're under, it's very hard to do it practically. But if you break down these verses that we read, you'll see that we can handle the stress of life by understanding that God is at hand. God is near us. It's faith. You need to have that element of faith. God is at hand.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to understand that if we look down, we can break it down, because I think this is a beautiful part that all of us need to understand. So I think that from a spiritual perspective, one of the verses that we need to run to when we're feeling down. And I would love the viewers to actually write the references down. That's Epistle of St. Paul to the Philippians chapter 4. And it's a short one, but read the number of verses. So we can see that for us to handle these the stresses of life, or that we need to understand the concept of faith, and having faith that God is near us. The Lord is at hand. Yeah. And it says, be anxious for nothing. What does that mean? It's actually refusing to worry. It's actually saying, I'm not going to worry. It needs someone to say, I'm not going to worry. Be anxious for nothing. And for us to do that, we need to, it all starts here. I'm sure Kira will agree with me. As a counselor, you'll probably be giving people a lot of mental exercises, how to, control your thoughts, how to deal with, negative thoughts and substitute with positive thoughts. I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, 100%.
So, obviously, God is the one that made us, including our mental and psychological makeup. So He knows what works, what doesn't work. And that's why the Word of God is so beautiful, because it satisfies us from all angles. From all angles. People think the spiritual side is just one side of your life. No. Actually, God deals with every aspect of our life. My whole being through the Word of God. It's like a double, it goes through the heart. It pierces through the heart and does miracles.
I think, as well, the other thing with that verse, I guess from a counselling perspective, is suicide or depression, anxiety, a common theme there is hopelessness. People feeling hopeless. And hearing that verse is filled with hope. Yeah, so the whole verse is about rejoicing, God is near, cast your worries on Him, don't be anxious, and He'll fill you with peace. Yeah. So I think a very important verse for someone who's feeling hopeless, that's filled with hope.
Yes.
Yeah. So we hear the verse, we know the verse. How do we cling on to that verse to get us through these difficult times? If I'm a HSC student, I'm just about to walk an exam, how do I feel that hope?
It's, as I said, it goes down to the way I think, my thoughts.
Okay.
St. Paul said it very nicely in another part. He said, not in this section, he said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So the renewing of the mind is so important. And again, I cannot do this by myself. I need to go back and talk to God. If we continue with the verse, it says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication. So that's another, if you break it down, so we start by believing, having faith that God is near, God is close to us.
Yeah.
We need to rejoice, we need to be happy. God actually wants us to be happy, because some people think God wants me to upset. God wants me to be crying all day over my sins. And we sometimes stretch this concept of I'm a sinner, I need to repent, I'm bad, too much, to the extent that people fall into despair and they feel like they can't rejoice. A Christian cannot be happy because he's sinful. That's the wrong mentality. That's not right. Otherwise, St. Paul would have said, rejoice in the Lord. Always rejoice. Always.
Yes.
So this is like a commandment. We need to be happy.
When I heard something the other day, it was, thank God for everything, always.
Beautiful.
Remember that? So no matter what happens, thank God. Always thank God. Things go wrong, you might think it's going wrong, but it's happened for a reason.
This is exactly the next part. Because it said here, in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Exactly what you said, Andrew. With thanksgiving, let requests be made known to God. So the element of thanksgiving is so important.
Yes.
Because the more we give thanks, the more actually we'll be happy. Just try in the morning, wake up and say, thank you God for this, thank you for that, thank you for this, thank you for that. Automatically you will feel happy. Because we're trying to shift the thought from the negative to the positive.
And because I guess we're appreciating what we actually do have, and then we've got something to be thankful about. So instead of focusing all of our thoughts and energies on all the things that are bringing us down, we're actually changing that focus. And I remember actually seeing a beautiful little, almost a saying, and it's, there are two dogs, and the one that you feed the most will grow stronger. So if we're always focusing on the negative thoughts and feelings, then that's going to grow stronger. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kira, but I've heard a psychologist actually say that your brain is a muscle. The more you use that, and how you use that is going to grow in strength. So
yeah, and I guess everything that when you talked about and what you just mentioned then, from a counselling perspective, I'd link that to one of the techniques in it's called cognitive behaviour therapy. So what cognitive behaviour therapy is just that it's how, your cognition, your mind, how you process, how you see, how you view, how you perceive things, and then that then dictates or influences how you feel and then how you behave.
Yeah.
So if the thoughts are negative and you see things in a negative light, and that's your thinking, that then translates to how you feel, your emotions, which then dictates or impacts on your behaviour. And then if you can shift that, or if you can challenge that to not be so negative and have a more positive sort of chain of thought or perceive things in a different way, again, that'll impact on how you feel, which will then impact on how you act or your behaviour. And I think that's where Christianity, and I guess for being Christian counsellor, where Christianity ties into a technique like CBT, where things like that of God's here, God's around, God loves us. The verse you just read, there's hope in the Lord.
It gets better afterwards.
Yeah.
Exactly what he's saying goes further. Verse 8, which I haven't read, it says, "Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, pure, lovely, of good report, if there's any virtue, anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things."
Excellent.
Meditate on these
Excellent.
things.
Abuna, can I stop you for a moment because we have a caller that wants to ask a question. So I believe her name is Linda. Linda, please ask your question. Thank you so much.
Hi, Kurt. Thank you so much. I was just wondering if you could shed some light or some advice on what the best option would be if I have a friend or a family member who is rejecting help, if they're in a bad situation in terms of financial needs or they're going through a rough time with family problems. What would be the best approach to help them even though they are rejecting the help?
Okay, so we'll just repeat that question. So Linda's asking, please correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, but if we have a family member, someone close to us that we think needs that help, what is the best approach to start the conversation? Yes.
Correct, yeah.
Would everyone like to have move down the line and we can all have a different view?
Yeah.
Or if there's a different view.
So I guess, again, like similar to what we've discussed, check in with them, ask them if they're okay. Again, if you've got that relationship with them, you're probably in a good position to be able for them to open up and for them to disclose what's going on. If they're being resistant or they're in denial and that denial stretches for a period, keep checking in, and I guess just get the message across to them that you're there for support when they want to, when they're ready to, when they need to, that you're there.
Yep. Okay. Andrew, would you like to add to
Sorry, so it's just about being there for them and just supporting them until they're ready to open up to you.
So it's just about being there for them and supporting them till they're ready to open up for you.
Yep.
Okay, before you actually have the conversation.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Linda?
Yes, definitely. I do have one more question to ask.
Ask away.
If I feel that they're coming to a certain point where they're in a situation they do need help, do you think it's best that I consult another family member to just make sure to keep an eye on them or to look after them and maybe talk to them as well to encourage them to seek help? Or would that be something to maybe wait until they're ready to open up and ask for the help themselves?
Good question, Linda. So Linda's just asking, would it be a good idea to ask another family member to keep a watch out for them and maybe ask about them as an extra support? Is that right, Linda?
Yes, correct.
What do you think?
I think it depends on how close that other family member would be. We need to make sure that the person that will help them, that will actually close to them, that will accept them.
So true.
Because not all family members are that close to each other.
Yes.
There's some people closer than others.
Yeah.
So we need to choose the people carefully to make sure they're not going to be rejected and to make sure they're going to actually accept it, because it may actually sort of cause more harm than good.
And
That's a very good point.
You need to be trustworthy so he doesn't say anything to anyone else.
Yeah, Linda's saying so. But Fadi was just saying, sorry, Fadi, you were saying...
He need to be trustworthy.
Trustworthy.
So, because he doesn't want to swap the information or say to a different person he doesn't want to know.
Yeah, very good point. And perhaps even someone that, if they do hear about that problem, they're not going to have feelings themselves, so get caught up in something, you know, because we love these people who are next to us. So it might actually be, you know, be a difficult thing for someone to listen to or to hear or to try and help. Andrew, would you like to share anything?
I think you just need to be there. Be there, listen to them, listen and you know, honestly listen without judgment. And yeah, just be there with them all the time and just keep an eye on them and just hear what the problem is.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times just them being able to speak to someone close and to have a bit of a release is a great thing for them.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the most important things, I would say. Yeah. So Linda, I hope that's helped you. Thank you so much for asking the question, and we'll keep you in our prayers and your family members. So now we would like to just move across to a little video to recap on everything that we've just been talking about, the 4 steps. So please enjoy this video. It's very cute, very lovely. And we'll go to the video now, please.
Alec and Jenny enjoy a good laugh at work, though Alec's noticed Jenny has been distant and distracted lately. His gut is telling him something's going on. We want Alec to trust his gut, reach out to Jenny and start a conversation. Alec's a bit worried he could say the wrong thing, but he can feel confident if he follows Are You OK's 4 conversation steps. Ask, are you okay? Alec should pick a comfortable, quiet place and the right time to ask Jenny how everything's going. He can mention his concern and the changes he's noticed. Alec should listen instead of trying to immediately fix Jenny's problems. Encourage action. Alec can help Jenny think of steps she can take to manage her situation, such as chatting to friends or family, a GP or other professional support, such as an employee assistance program. Alec should check in a few days later and let Jenny know he's been thinking of her and wants to know how she's been going. If Jenny's not ready to chat to him, he can encourage her to open up to someone she trusts. If you're worried about a workmate, reach out and start a conversation using the 4 steps. Ask, listen, encourage action, and check in. Alec can make a difference, and so can you. Are you okay?
Everyone, what do we think about that video? Maybe we can all just share a point that really touched us for everyone to focus on. We'll start with you, Kiro.
Yeah, just, I mean, everyone's great by nature, which is lovely. Everyone cares about everyone, which is great. Just be available, just listen, check in with people, and where you can offer support, do. Yeah.
Thank you, Kiro.
I like the check-in part. Like, I know that, you know, I've had conversations with people around the workplace, and I do like to check in on them and just see how you're going. Just, hey, how are things? And yeah, it's good.
Very good. Fadi.
I think picking the right time to ask is very essential, because if someone busy or someone in a state of denial, he's not going to be open to you, he's not going to say anything to you.
Yes.
So just try to pick the correct time to ask, like the video showed us, should be in, he's free or he's alone.
Yes.
So it's like this.
Yeah, because otherwise there won't be an environment where they can feel comfortable to even open up, because that's a difficult thing as it is for all of us.
Yes.
Abuna.
Yeah, I like that part in the video when he said that he affirmed her, that he was thinking about her, and thinking about how she's feeling and wants to make sure that she's fine now. That in itself gives the person the feeling that someone cares for them, someone has been thinking about them. See, if someone's thinking of suicide, for example, they think no one loves them. They think no one cares about them.
True.
So that just part in itself will make them reconsider, will make them actually well, someone loves me, someone actually been thinking about me. I thought no one cares about me. I thought no one loves me. There's someone at least there who cares. Someone's been thinking about me for the past 3-4 days. So that personal touch is so important. And we can see that again because God is the one that made us. If you link it back, this is exactly how our Lord Jesus Christ used to deal with people. That personal touch, by name. You know, Zacchaeus, come down from the tree. I'm going to your house today. You know, the Samaritan woman, I'm leaving everything. I'm coming to meet you at the well in the middle of the day in the heat. I don't want to eat. I don't want to drink. You're more important than food or drink. This personal touch, I love the gospel in the sunset prayer in the Agbeya. We pray that they brought all the sick people to our Lord Jesus Christ to heal them. Thousands of people. He went and put his hand on every single one of them and healed them. How's it important? Personal touch. Everyone feels important. His hand was on my head. It's different when you just say general comment. So that personal touch is so important, and actually in part of the remedy, part of the therapy.
Yes.
But I think before as well, we, as the viewer, one of the questions, I wanted to add something at the end is do not underestimate the power of prayer. You know, we try to think too many times about what can we do logically and steps 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, but you'll be surprised the power of prayer, what it does. If you feel like you can't do anything, that's wrong because you have a strong weapon called prayer. Prayer changes me. Prayer does miracles. You know, put the names on the altar. Pray for them regularly. And God will listen to your prayer because that shows you love to others. Christianity is all about love. Loving God, loving others. So by being part of this program, you're actually doing one of the main 2 summary of the commandments.
Yes.
So that's very important for us as Christian. By doing this, we're expressing our love to everyone.
Very good. And Abuna, would you say that you know, it is all a part of service as a Christian? You know, showing that love, showing that care. And I really love the 2 points that you mentioned, because when I had this conversation with my friend this evening, the one thing she said is that no one ever comes to visit me, which is the personal touch. No one ever calls me. Again, another form of personal touch. So thank you so much, Abuna, for sharing that. We'd like to thank all of our wonderful guests on the panel. Thank you all for being here tonight. God bless you all. We hope that all the viewers really got so much out of this session. We will keep you in our prayers, and God bless all of you. And a good night to you all.
We need to study the book of Acts to see how we can regain the passion of the early days. It's not, you know, a dream, it's not a theory, it's a real fact. Christ is waiting for the church to move on. But also, God is wise. So God knows how to speak to all hearts.
We're going to enter the Divine Liturgy. The Liturgy of the Word or the Liturgy of the Catechumen. The importance of preparation and sanctification. Start with the prayer of reconciliation.